Well, hey, welcome to United Opposition. I'm Marshall,
And I'm Scott.
and it's April Fool's Day. Here we go. Oh my gosh, there's no telling what's going to happen right now, huh?
Yeah.
No
Well,
telling.
welcome to Untied Opposition, everybody.
I'm tired.
Scott.
Well, how you doing? How's your day been?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I've been doing Republican things all day. I've been browsing the Tesla website, tweeting, doing a lot of tweeting, sharing classified war plans with my friends in the other side, with journalists. Yeah, just doing Republican things, the usual stuff.
Yeah,
What about you?
I've been out there blowing up Teslas and setting things on fire, and just being just general Democrat things going on. Yeah, just on this day, on what I used to like to call Happy Atheist Day.
Yeah. Well, keep doing it, Scott or Marshall, because it's reducing the price of a new Tesla for me. So
Right.
right on, buddy. You keep right on.
Yep. Psalm 14:1 says, "A fool says in his heart, there is no God." So this is sorry, Marshall.
So what? You're a fool, Scott?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So that's I've heard so much before.
We can't keep it straight. But anyway.
Well, let's go and flip our names back over and see if that's possible to do that. We can't get it straight. We wanted to have some fun today because yes, it is April 1st. Was there any just to kick it off, Marshall? Have you ever participated in an April Fool's joke or what was one that you participated in? I have one.
Well, I think one of the most epic ones I did was with my friend Eric, and you remember Eric from high school.
Yeah.
And it was done on Facebook, and he was working for Chevron at the time, and we told everybody on our Facebook list that Chevron was a Twitter because they were predicting a really big earthquake in our area. And like one person went out and put gas in her car, another person called her parents in Louisiana and was like, hey, if something happens, don't freak out, like we had people going. And we had created fake graphics and everything and posted them. And
Are you all out?
Yeah.
Now I was still in high school, I think, working at a print shop. My very first job as a senior, working at a print shop, and another friend of mine from the graphic arts class were both working there. And he wanted to make his mom believe on April Fool's. He wanted to make his mom believe that he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant. And so we went on the computer and I created on the computer the chart, like the medical chart and everything like that. And then we printed it off on triplicate paper because we could do that. And so then I was the doctor and I wrote all, positive and wrote all this stuff and signed it and scribbled it just like that. And then he took like the middle sheet, like the yellow or the pink one that was on. So it looked all official and everything like that. Yeah, that's I've never really been much of a prankster myself, but that's when I participated in one.
Right.
So we wanted to talk today, Marshall. You had a great idea because we're like, what can we do to keep it lighter? And you said, what about political ideas that are so bad they're good?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
There could be some fun ones there. So I know you and I started kind of putting some lists and putting them back and forth together. But I would love for you to pitch a political idea that's so bad it's good.
I think political candidates, before they can be nominated in a primary, they need to go viral on TikTok at least a certain number of times in a period running up to the primary election. And what that means is they're going to have to connect with the audience on the audience level. And they're going to actually have to be, amusing or funny. They're going to have to be able to communicate in plain English, So no more of this, political blah blah wah 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 wah.
The Charlie Brown teacher.
Right. They're gonna have to express political ideas through a new dance, a viral dance or something. They're gonna have to be able to connect with people.
Is there time limits? I've heard TikTok before. Isn't that crazy? Are there time they have to do within a certain time, or they're
I don't know how TikTok actually works really, but the thing is the idea is they have to go viral a certain number of times. So they're going to have to learn how to sing or tell jokes or something.
Can that be faked with robots and bot accounts? Can they be able to make their own?
Make a rule that says you can't, all your accounts have to be verified. You can't do fake accounts or nothing like that. No cheating. That's cheating. You go to prison for that.
Go to prison for cheating on TikTok. Wow, this is getting extreme. I like it. I think you're gonna find out, viewers are gonna find out that Marshall and I are both kind of harsh on politicians and whatnot in all of this. If you guys have any comments on what you think of these ideas, or if you have your own idea, one of mine here, I like this, is that it's not just about politicians, but it is about politics and talking about news organizations. I want a rule I want to have on there. I think it's so bad it's good, is that all news organizations would be required to refund subscription fees to subscribers for each day that they have unfactual news, along with their retraction. So not just a retraction, but if they had unfactual news that day, they have to refund that day's worth of subscriptions back to all of the subscribers, every single one. So it's a huge cost for them, but also as it might get more people to actually subscribe, because you might be getting money back. So it might actually encourage people to have more subscribers, get more involved with news, with the possible incentive that they can get some of that money back anytime the news is wrong. And maybe maybe that'll help the news be a little bit more careful in what they print. What do you think?
I think that's a fantastic idea. We're going to operate on the assumption that there's some sort of a neutral, unbiased, fact-checking organization out there that can rule and arbitrate this. But we'll take that as a given for both of us. And assuming that, I think that's fantastic.
Excellent. Because the bad could be, like, who's going to arbitrate that? That could be why it's a bad idea.
Right,
but
right.
Good is, So there's always, so we're talking about, something so bad that it's good. It's got to be bad as well. But what's another one for you?
Candidates must win a Price is Right game for their campaign cash. So for every however much they want for campaign cash, they're actually going to have to compete in a Price is Right competition. They need to, for example, know how much, a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread costs, or what furniture costs, or what rent is, or how much money people make, So
they don't care about gas prices. They get driven everywhere they go, and they don't care about gas prices. No, because I love that, because it would require them to actually have some sort of connection to the real world.
Exactly. That's why. And if they go over, you just lost all your campaign cash. Try again, maybe. Sorry. In
the wheel. Yeah, how they go on? He goes, come on, $1, get $1, get close to $1. You get the prize pack at the prize package at the end. Was it what was it called? The very end?
Yeah, the Price is Right. I can't remember. It's on today. I just Showcase Showdown. Showcase Showdown.
Yep.
That's right.
And that's all the things that you get. You get over here. Here is your military spending here with the with the lock and all the here's these Hollywood coming in with their endorsements for this and this much. You win all this if the price is right. If you can guess the price, and
there you go.
I like that. All right. Here's one that may sound bad because it's giving away free money, but I think government becomes the sole source of income for all elected officials. So as soon as you get elected, you are given a reasonable, and I'm talking like a decent living,
like what they're paid right now.
Yeah, like 200,000,
150, 200, 400,000, whatever. Yeah.
Some that's up there. That's reasonably high, because they're taking on a responsibility. But then as soon as you are elected, that is your sole source of income for the rest of your life. Like, even when your term ends, you don't have to do anything else. You'll still receive that for the rest of your life, but you cannot receive anything else. I think that would help prevent back end deals where once I'm gone, I'm going to have this job and make this millions of dollars. No, your sole income for the rest of your life is that paycheck, adjusted for inflation, of course. As inflation goes up, with being reasonable, not being stuck at that amount for however many. But I think that would be a great idea for all of our elected officials. What do you think, Marshall?
Yeah, I think that would be great because now you're doing the job for the right reason, right? Public service, not to get rich. I've had that idea myself before, and I think it's a novel idea. I think the devil is in the details. How do you enforce it? Does it apply to family members and so on? You know, but I think if we could do this somehow, make this work, absolutely, that's the way to go.
I think the bad side of it is how do you determine like what kind of you're really limiting the freedoms and liberties of that person to be able to say, sorry, you cannot take another job, or so it's a fairly restrictive sacrifice that they're making, but at the same time, I think it's also well compensated.
Well, that too, and also I think it's voluntary, right? You don't have to do it. It's like joining the military. When you join the military, Uncle Sam literally owns your body. And if he wants to give you a vaccine or send you into the teeth of enemy fire, you're literally obligated to do that, even if it means you're literally going to die. So the same thing with politicians. You know, if we can expect this of our young soldiers, why not expect the same level of dedication and loyalty from our elected officials?
Wow, this one's so bad it actually really is good.
I know. I agree with you, right?
All right, what's another one you got?
All right. Presidential Hunger Games. That is how we elect the president. The president has to be really hungry. They have to be really hungry, and they have to win a presidential Hunger Game in order to get elected. So all the different little parties get to compete, the Libertarians, the Greens, the Democrats, the Socialists, whoever. I don't care. Everybody gets to compete, but only one survivor emerges. There'll be no need for a recount. You know, there'll be no need for a runoff. We don't even have to go vote. We just turn on the TV and eat popcorn. And the one who is most intelligent, most clever is going to win.
Well, ultimately, my only problem with this one is that it seems like it's not going to be the most clever and the most intelligent. It's going to be whoever has the most power, the strongest. Like if it.
Well, luck plays part of it, but you know, hey, Katniss Everdeen can win.
Which she
and you know,
it's completely, absolutely fictional. There's no way she would.
Well, I don't know. She won in the movie. So anyway, the point is, presidential Hunger Games. We can do whatever we want to level the field, but I really think that you really have to want the job.
Yeah,
and you know, to do this keep the people who want it for the wrong reasons out.
Yeah, like they do in the actual movie, you can get sponsors and people can send packages into the game. So if you get enough people to like you, maybe you can get sponsored and get more weapons or more food or more whatever to help you on there. And that becomes kind of that almost becomes kind of like the popular vote kind of thing, to where whoever's becoming the most popular is going to get more resources.
$1 billion and you get a chainsaw. Another $1 billion, you get the gas to operate it.
Chainsaw's only $1. The gas is $2 billion. So
yeah, well, there you go. There you go. All right, what else you got, Scott? What else do you got?
Okay, all right. Let's see. Let's bring back dueling with muskets to Congress.
There you go. Yeah, I like that a lot. You know, if you really have a beef with another politician.
That way, for people who are like, they didn't exist, those guns, these types of guns didn't exist. But okay, fine, it'll be muskets. You get the 2 muskets right there. You got to load it yourself, do a duel. And so like you were saying, you got a beef with another congressperson, then you know what, just settle it like we used to. Yeah,
MTG versus AOC. You know, we're using all the acronyms for them now like they're rappers or something, you know. Instead of a rap battle, it's literally just a duel. Tim Pace's turn in fire. I mean, hey, death solves all problems, right? No man, no problem. So there we have it. So, yeah, absolutely.
We should think that it's only going to be men.
Yeah, well, it's a quote was why I said that. But
I know.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, any two who want to go at it, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, absolutely. Don't form rivalries. Cooperate.
Yeah, there you go. What is it? An armed society is a polite society.
That's right. That's right.
If you knew that at any point someone challenging you because you went out of line, that there's going to be a duel, they'd probably be a lot more polite and less rhetoric. I think less rhetoric going on in in Congress.
Man, we are cleaning up the system, aren't we? This is how we're going to drain the swamp.
Here we
All
go.
right, so I think
so many of ours involve death, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, you got to keep it real. No president can remain in office unless they fulfill at least one campaign promise per month. Miss a month and you're fired.
That is really good.
Yeah.
That is really good. Now, what keeps them from making very simple campaign promises?
Well, I guess we don't elect them if we don't like their campaign promises.
So they have to have 48 campaign promises in their campaign. They have to have them listed out at least. That way there's enough to go every month for 4 years.
Well, I mean, you and I are expected to turn in an email with 5 things that we accomplished every week. I don't think 48 in 4 years is that hard.
That's true. Now, would we require them? But here's the thing: it says campaign, so they got to have all 48 while they're campaigning, or do they just have to have 1 year's worth, and then before the next year they have to have the next one? Or how would you do that? They'd have to have all 4 years laid out before they take office.
I'm willing to be flexible because things change, right? So I think we don't live in the same world that we lived in 4 years ago. So I'd be totally cool with giving them some leeway on that. But at least maybe 30 days in advance or something. You've got to lay out that promise, and you better get to work because that clock is ticking.
A year's worth where you have to have 15, and you have to at least do 12 of those 15 or something like that. That way, then the next year you put up a list. These are really good ideas. I like that one. Yeah, because then Trump would already be winning, right? Like 5 campaign promises in 1 month.
Yeah, no, I suppose he would be.
So that's a question. What if you do 5 campaigns in 1 month? Does that mean you get the next 4 months you don't have to do any?
I guess you can go play a lot of golf. Right,
but I'm saying would that work out for you? That if you got ahead of it, could then cool, just as long as it's a photo by certain.
To enjoy a vacation. Why not?
Nice.
You want to reward the hard workers, right?
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. So how about this one? We do Congress instead of their chairs in the where they have them right there. We do Congress laid out like the Beast Games where they're all standing over trap doors, and then we give them a law. Here's somebody, any proposal that come up. That proposal comes up, and they have 1 minute to come to a decision on the law. If they don't, someone's just dropped through the floor, like randomly dropped through the floor, or it's played out just like the Beast Games, towards like, okay, then they make partnerships, they agree, and either they pass the law and everybody stays, or they don't pass the law and like 5 people are randomly dropped, or everybody agrees to drop that one person, and that one person gets dropped, and then they go on to the next thing until a law is passed. They have to survive that, and then you have runners up coming up to fill the space. What do you think?
That's kind of like how they elect a pope. If you don't elect a pope and within a certain amount of time, they start taking the luxuries away and they reduce you to bread and water, until you all get your act together and agree on who's going to be the next pope.
Bathroom breaks,
Yeah, just start taking things away. Okay, you guys can't come to consensus on this new law. All right, we're just going to take something away until you do. Remember who you work for, right? All the good things come from us. We can take it away.
I think you and I share a commonality in this, in that it's a lot of these are about holding politicians accountable.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
You know what? We're all kind of, I mean, for 2 people on opposite sides of the aisle to be in this much agreement about this. I mean, it is April Fool's Day and we're all joking about all these things, obviously, but
I'm not.
No, in seriousness, like you and I both agree, like, hey, something needs to be shaken up. These would actually be some things that would cause, and most of it is at the expense of politicians, because I think you and I both don't have a high tolerance for the rhetoric and just crazy stuff of politicians.
Right. Well, that's the problem. That's what the cause of the problems of both the right and the left.
Yeah.
And I think we can all agree that even the ones that we like, the ones that we think are on our side, are probably pretty out there. They're not down to earth. They're telling lies. They're living high off the hog. And
I said the people I vote for. Obviously, the people I vote for aren't like that. They're
right.
holy saints. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So I think when you enter political life, when you say, okay, I'm going to run for office, I don't care if it's dog catcher, frankly, but when you run for a political office, we put a belt around you, we outfit you with the belt. And every time you tell a lie, you get an electric shock. And then over time, and the higher the office you run for, those electric shocks increase incrementally so that eventually at a certain point you tell your last lie and it's like the electric chair, buddy. You just get the chair.
No. Okay, I'm gonna take that a step further. It's not a belt. It's like a full on garment. All right, it's like it's you put on.
Whatever it takes.
It's put on, and there's different regions, and depending on the lie, you're shocked with a different voltage in a different part of your body, depending on how severe the lie is.
I'm totally cool with that. Yeah, you can. Not only is it a lie, but now we're going to rate the severity of the lie.
Yeah,
I think that'll keep them honest. They'll learn pretty quick.
Who will ever think about all these rules we're trying to put in? Who would ever want to become a politician?
Only the people who care. Only the people who care. So
and
there you go.
And that's the answer I want. Is who would want to do it? Exactly. Nobody would want to do it. It would be the people who feel that they need to do it. There's that line again. Everything comes back to a movie, but the fourth Die Hard movie, fifth Die, whatever it was, Live Free or Die Hard, the one that had Justin Long in it and stuff like that, where it's like the 4th of July and all happens, and he's with this Justin Long is like this kid who's like this hacker, and he's trying to get him to help him, and he's like, why I'm not and the kid's like, I'm not a hero. I'm not, because neither am I. It's like, you think I want to do this? Do you think, you know what being a hero does? Being a hero, means you're living alone, means you're facing divorce, you're facing, all this stuff, but nobody wants to be a hero. So then why are you doing it? He says, because nobody else is doing it. If somebody else would do it, then I would step aside and let them do it, but nobody else will do it. And that's why I'm doing it. And the kid's like, and that's what makes you that guy. Those are the people we want as politicians. The ones who are like, somebody's got to do it. Fine. I'll take the hit. And these are the hits, and the hits keep on coming.
Well, there you go. So
here we go. This is a great one. This is not necessarily a hit on politicians, but reverse gerrymandering. Mm-hmm. Instead of politicians drawing all of their lines specifically how they want this neighborhood, but not that neighborhood, reverse gerrymandering. It's basically just random. Its districts are drawn by blindfolded kindergartners using crayons.
I'm not sure that one solves any problems, but it would be
any different. I mean, would it be? Would the outcome like just
pin the tail on the district you want?
Yeah, blindfold, pin the tail. Like, good. That is so not the one I want. Oh, that might actually even be better where the politicians themselves, everything is broken up into a grid and they're spun around with a little thing, and they have to go book. Okay, that's the grid that you're now in charge of, and you're in this area, and you get to do 5 of them, and they spin the map around, they spin you around. You're like, okay, and then they draw the line around all those grids. There you go. That's your district. That's who you represent. Would it be worse than it is now?
No, it'd probably be an improvement. As ridiculous as it sounds, anything is an improvement over the status quo and would be more democratic than the status quo. That's what's insane about the status quo. So I think this is the last one that I have, but every month, the worst rated politician in both the House and the Senate must survive a Running Man style competition. And the people who hunt for them are the people who are most harmed by their policies.
So we're tracking their policies, everything they vote, and then when it comes down to it at the end, it's like, okay, everybody's voting that they hate your policies the most, and these are the people that hate your policies the most. They're going to chase you down, and like running man game from the 80s, that Schwarzenegger movie, like just chase them down and kill them.
Yeah, that's right. This is Linda from Accounts Receivable, and she has a beef, and she also has a chainsaw. I don't know why I'm obsessed with chainsaws, but
they're really not that efficient. They're not that efficient of a way to kill. They're very, very heavy and awkward around. There's a really high possibility of injuring yourself with that. It's like, like people were like, wouldn't it be cool to have a lightsaber as a Jedi? I go, you know how quickly you would cut your own leg off with that thing? They're not that efficient.
You got to keep it fair, right? That's got to be sporty. The politicians do have to have some chance to make it through, and you want somebody in there hunting them down who is really, really rabid about getting them, really motivated to do the hunt. Mm-hmm. And well, if they are sloppy, then hey, the politician gets to go back to his chair. There you go.
Wow. Well, that was actually the end of my list too. I kind of went through it pretty quickly. But what are some things that keep us? What are some things that are keeping us from doing this? I know it's kind of a joke and everything like that, but in a real world, any of these that we mentioned, Marshall, that we talked about, would any of these actually be something that could be carried out? And what would be the obstacles to that?
Yeah, and I think if I were to rack my brain enough, there would be some examples from history where political officials were held to incredibly high standards. For example, in ancient Babylon, in fact, in the Law Code of Hammurabi, it mentions that if a judge makes an error in their decision, they are severely punished for rendering a poor judgment. I don't remember what the penalty was, but it could be death, but I don't remember. But there are, we could craft policies as a society that are enforceable and require our political officials to hold to a certain standard of ethics. I mean, heck, even if all we did was enforce the laws that are actually on the books now, I think that would suffice. Like, we don't have to get out of the box creative here. The laws are on the books. We just actually have to enforce them. But I just
think that when you add the factor of it being entertainment, a lot of we were talking about people watching or being entertained or people participating. When you add the factor of entertainment, I think it brings an engagement from the people. Like it like. As morbid as that sounds, as it seems, by bringing in that, like making it some sort of form of entertainment, really would actually bring more involvement, like more people, especially all the ones we were talking about where it was all about voting and popularity and all that kind of stuff. It's just, it could swing very quickly to mob rule.
Sure, but it's still the will of the people, more or less.
No, you can't.
And that's the thing. People have the right to self-determination.
You can't always trust the will of the people.
Well, all right. So that's why you have, I suppose, the Bill of Rights. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if enough people want to, people are going to do what they want to do. If everybody in America says, like, if 9 out of 10 people in America tomorrow stood up and said, we're going to tear up the Constitution, we're going to tear up the Bill of Rights, and we're going to start over from scratch, it would happen that way.
It could happen, yeah.
Because that's what the people want to do. What Plato explained is the penalty for not being involved in politics is to be governed by people who are worse than you.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to be engaged in politics. And yeah, I think we could come up with some clever ways to help people get engaged. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that politics does affect you. It impacts you. It's going to impact the prices you're going to pay, And there's two sides to come from that. Either you are making the populace better at making decisions, or you are limiting the power and the ability for the elected official to have the power that they want to try to gain. You got to come from both. A lot of what we were talking about is bringing limitations to the politicians, but some of it can also be bringing that level of engagement up. If we can do both, bring up the level of engagement while at the same time bringing down the power of the politician and the ability to abuse that power. It's just, we're getting to the point where these all to two reasonable people like you and me, these are highly entertaining and
desired outcomes. And these are kind of really bad ideas really, really bad ideas that we have about how we would treat our politicians, stuff like that. But where we're at now makes these ideas almost seem reasonable to two reasonable people like us.
That's right.
That's where we are. It's pretty sad, but that is our April Fools. We are the April Fools.
Yeah, we are. Well, if we continue to live this way, we sure are. The joke's on us.
Joke's on us. All right. Well, hope everybody enjoyed our April 1st, 2025 show. We can't wait to see you guys next week. Who knows what will be happening? But until then, I'm Marshall.
And I'm Scott.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye for now.
Bye.